myself as a laid-off interior designer living in Manhattan. So I was blowing through my savings and really dedicating myself to feverishly working on my portfolio and not having a lot of luck. But around the same time, I had started going to StorySlams at the Moth. So I went down to Housing Works and settled into my corner with the other packed sardines and started slamming my PBR Pounder, which is the most expensive booze I was drinking at the time, and settled in for a story. And so there was a girl, I don't remember what the topic was that night, but there was a girl that got up and she told this very, very moving story about her experience working as an Outward Bound instructor to at-risk youth. So the story really touched me, and I went home and I was kind of just at a place where I was really poor and I was fed up with a job search, and when I got home from the slam, I was drunk. So I drunkenly decided to fill out an application to be an Outward Bound instructor, thinking, I'm outdoorsy, I like kids, this will be great. So I went to bed and I kind of forgot about it and was very surprised a few days later when I get a call for like a phone interview with Outward Bound. So I go into it pretty skeptically and I was like, I don't know what this is all about, and again to my surprise I was offered the job. So I mosey on down to my local police precinct to get fingerprinted to work with minors, and I guess also this is the end of like my bank robbing career. And I scoot on down to Florida to be an Outward Bound instructor. So the trips that I was going to be on, I was going to be co-leading 30-day canoe wilderness expeditions to adjudicated youth. So what adjudicated means is they were court-ordered to be there as an alternative to serving time. So these trips, like, they were 30-day, so we were basically paddling down the river and then camping along the way without seeing, like, barely any civilization at all for a month. So when I got down there, shit got real. And so on the second day of my first course, there was an all-out riot. So it involved 5 girls that were all going after each other, and there were 3 instructors. So each instructor had to completely like body restrain a girl and take her down to the ground, which left 2 girls to beat the shit out of each other and to kind of, like get a stray punch into the girls we were restraining as well as the instructors that were restraining them. So after the dust settled from this riot, and after the adrenaline sort of drained, I realized that my middle finger was broken. So there's not much you can do with that, so I kind of taped it up and proceeded to canoe and paddle 28 more days with a broken finger. 3 days after the riot, the girl who I suspect broke the finger tried to run away. Now, what I did not mention is since these girls are adjudicated, it kind of, by extension, makes us detention officers. And if they succeed in running away, they pick up a felony 3 charge. So, I mean, they really, weren't joking around with this. So I was the instructor that had to go after her and sort of, build this rapport and get on her level and convince her to give the course a shot and that it would be worth it in the end. And she did come back. But these girls were dealing with stuff that, I couldn't even begin to relate to. They were coming from histories of abuse and abandonment, and there was one 17-year-old girl with a 2-year-old daughter on the course, which being 24 at the time, I just couldn't even begin to fathom. But we tried to teach them, important lessons about integrity and assertive communication and leadership. And, we saw small progress here and there, but in the end, you're sort of hoping you make a difference and then sending them out into the world not really knowing. So I left the experience thinking, you know, it was a positive experience. It was definitely something different to try, and I have some great stories to tell at the bar, but not really much beyond that. And recently, I got a message on Facebook from the 17-year-old mom who had somehow found me on Facebook and said in this message that, you know, it's not something I was able to realize or identify at the time, but I now know that this course that I was on was the turning point in my life and in my family's life, and I just wanted to say thank you. And it was like the best message that I've received, and you know, I thought back to the girl that told this story at the Moth, and I sort of just like wanted to pay it forward by telling my story about hoods in the woods.